Since I actually missed 2 chapters, I'm going to review 2 different chapters in this video. I'm going to actually review them chapter per chapter, make things a little bit more simple. Let's jump right into it. So chapter 62, we get Eto's backstory of when she was younger, which is interesting because it seems as though when she was younger, she was still kind of maybe a little bit fucked up, but definitely not like what she is now. She seemed more like a struggling kind of young person and kind of just trying to get up there in life, but she still had her secret organization, but I don't necessarily think she was as mentally disturbed as she ultimately became. The whole manga thing of her trying to be like, you know, a manga creator or, you know, a writer, a novelist, whatever. I mean, it's been done a lot in manga and anime as of recent especially, and having the editor and stuff like that. But the way it played out in this chapter, everything that it slowly led up to, I was like, yo. And one of the things you could tell from Eto's character and kind of getting a little more of an understanding of it, it makes more sense of her relationship with Yoshimura and how she felt about him, because she kind of resented what he did. You know, she's like, Mom, don't worry, I'm not gonna run, not like Dad did. And then even when she passed by the coffee shop and she seen him, you know, talking all calm and shit like that, you know, she ripped up the paper, whatever. I think one of the things that she resented about Yoshimura is that he didn't fight back against the humans. He didn't try to liberate, and he ultimately abandoned her. I mean, we've seen the past of what he did, kind of leaving her off to other people to take care of her. So she had a lot of built up resentment for Yoshimura. And again, that kind of explains their relationships and the dynamics of it. Like when Kaneki was talking about Yoshimura and stuff like that, and every time he's been mentioned, she kind of just says, fuck the old motherfucker. Something very interesting about the interrogation process in regards to the editor in this chapter, which I thought it was interesting that he actually never fessed up in regards to her being a ghoul all the way until years later when he gets interrogated. But the interesting thing about it is, in the real world in Japan, a lot of the criminal process and the investigation and interrogation process is very different from over here. Yeah, sometimes people crack, but over there, the interrogation process, I think they're allowed to interrogate you for up to 48 hours straight, and it gets so brutal for them and it gets so mentally straining that almost all people over there confess to their crimes. That's kind of why, like in Detective Conan, at the end of every case, they break down and say, I did it, but it was because of blah, blah, blah. Because in reality, a lot of the people over there, because of pride and because of the interrogation process being so fucking insane, they eventually break down. So he was actually implementing real issues in the real world into Tokyo Ghoul. Cool shit. And I love the foreshadowing of this to the next chapter where she said, if you think you won, you better make sure that mouths around here are shut, like threatening what she was gonna do and reveal secrets and stuff like that. Great foreshadowing, and I'm so glad that I have the context of chapter 63 to mention that, yeah, the foreshadowing was real there. And last but not least, the end of that chapter, the Takizawa stuff. I love seeing Takizawa. He's a fucking savage ass motherfucker, and seeing him going in and his peoples or whatever. Poor Hachikawa. I guess he ain't nosy anymore. Okay, that was a bit too much. That was no chill. I'm sorry. So yeah, honestly, that was a very good chapter. The progression, Eto getting fucking caught, the threats, everything about that chapter, very good stuff. I would definitely say that was a solid 8 out of 10. Tokyo Ghoul, you know, beasting or whatever. The foreshadowing there as well is like, yo, just some good shit. But then chapter 63, boy, oh my gosh, I had that same face that Kaneki had when she's on national television saying, hey, you know, this famous writer Takatsuki, I'm a ghoul. So for starters, we gotta talk about that Mutsuki shit. I mean, I love seeing Mutsuki being a savage. I love seeing her go into battles and stuff like that, and really seeing her be independent. Like, she started off as being a really tragic case similar to black-haired Kaneki, but ultimately, as you see, she progressed and kind of became more independent than Kaneki became. I mean, I guess Kaneki became independent when he became white-haired Kaneki, but ultimately, the difference between the two of them is I don't think she's as savage as he was, because he became like a martyr, a savage, all that good shit when he had the white hair. Mutsuki kind of still seems like herself. She's just more independent and more brutal. But then getting thrown in that ocean with Hoagie. And it's just disgusting seeing fucking Takizawa and Shikore talking about eating Hachikawa's body. I'm like, bro. And they try to throw a little bit of redemption for Hachikawa, basically, you know, that he wasn't completely a asshole and all that good shit. But, I mean, it was a little bit feeling forced towards the end to say, hey, there was one good thing about that motherfucker. And the return of Torso in that chapter as well. Like, I like that they actually addressed a little bit more of the Mutsuki situation, because that was one of the subplots that's going on right now, and having a nice little section of the chapter dedicated to that and seeing the fucking struggle that she's having right now, that was pretty good. But then the chapter just went to a whole other level with the V organization, Arima, and all that shit. I'm like, what the fuck? It's interesting because I thought the V organization, because we know that they're pretty much like something that's in the shadows. They're not, you know, completely one big thing. Like, we know the CCG, we know the ghouls, but the V organization is something that's like in the back burner. But it's interesting that even they don't really know who the One-Eyed King is. And the vagueness, but I'm sure there's some crazy setup for that in this chapter, when that one leader from the V organization was talking to Arima and Furuta, what the fuck did that mean about Rize? I'm gonna pretty much quote the line. As for Rize, we simply cannot continue to be led around by that. Was he talking about that they're still trying to find her? Is there something to do with Yomo? Because I think last time we seen her, she was with Yomo. Yomo had her hiding and stuff like that. Is it that they're trying to find some DNA? Is it that he addresses Kaneki as Rize because he has like, what the fuck was up with that? And yo, when they introduce Rize to the story again, reintroduce her, shit's gonna be insane. And it seems as though it's already gonna happen because Arima's gonna, like, Arima surprised the fuck out of me, the fact that he has involvement with the V organization. To this point, we was just like, okay, you know, he's that inspector. To be honest, I feel kind of mixed with it. I mean, he could be some double spy shit into the V organization to try and take them down, because if you've seen some of, like, you know, the Arima manga and stuff like that, he didn't really seem like he'd be that type of person, so it kind of has me surprised. And if you think about it, he's actually playing into their hand as well, because he did seemingly set up the Furuta and Kaneki situation of them being together on these cases and whatnot, but like, that still shocks the fuck out of me, his involvement. And then another thing, when that leader from the V organization said, poor Kuzan, he died in vain, I'm guessing that he doesn't realize that Yoshimura is in captivity with Aogiri Tree, because like, he probably thinks that he died that day in the war at the end of Tokyo Ghoul. Little does he know. So it kind of makes you realize that the V organization doesn't know that much like you would think, because we think they're this big top brass organization, but they don't know who the One-Eyed King is. They don't seemingly know that Yoshimura is still alive, unless they do know, and Yoshimura actually, they completely killed him. Although I think we saw, I don't know if it was 10 chapters back, 15 chapters back, Kano talking about Yoshimura needing to regenerate. So they probably don't know, and that makes things interesting that the V organization doesn't really know everything when you would think that they know a lot. I will say one of the only things about this chapter that kind of bugged me was the fact that they granted Eto permission to do one last conference. Why? Honestly, logically, if she has been captured and arrested and all that good shit, why would you allow her, this ghoul, suspected of being, you know, a big time ghoul at that, to do one final conference? It doesn't fucking make sense. Like, this is a big deal. You should not let that happen, especially considering the savagery we've seen in the past and the treatment of ghouls. For them to actually allow this, it kind of felt a little bit like, what? And then announcing that she's a ghoul in front of the fucking world. Again, Kaneki's face was priceless. I was like, yo, this is gonna make things even more interesting, because they're gonna realize, yo, this entire time, this crazy popular writer was a ghoul. And then that final story at that, I'm curious if that final story that she wrote, is it the story of Ken Kaneki? Or is she gonna reveal big secrets? Is she gonna say that there's ghouls working in the CCG? Like, there's so many things she could do, and like, right now the ball is in Eto's court. They think that they got her, little do they know she's fucking them over. A quick note though, anyone notice with Eto's haircut and like the way she styled it and everything, she's looking like Toka? And they even show like, it went from Eto to Toka's face or whatever while she's watching TV or whatever. Like, is she doing that to fuck with Kaneki? Is she doing that because she want to be with Kaneki? Like, oh, if I look like the girl he loved, maybe she, like, I mean, on a realistic level, you could look at it like Eto just has some simple daddy issues and she's looking for somebody to love her, and if she got to take him away from Toka, then so be it, and that's why she's doing it like that. So you could look at it in that aspect, but in reality, we know Eto is sick and fucked up, and she's probably doing it just to fuck with him, which kind of gave me a little bit of a scare, because I ain't gonna lie, it looked like a death flag for Toka. You killed Toka, Suishida, we're gonna have problems. And also, it seems as though the press conference could have been some sort of sideshow, because we did see people in cloaks running while she's talking, so maybe they're gonna attack the citizens while she's doing this conference. Like, a lot of crazy shit. And also with Hinami's death date finalized, like, honestly, I think that's gonna be the given point when Kaneki breaks in and says no, and his whole cover is blown that he's already, you know, Ken Kaneki, he's no longer Sasuke Heist in the mind. So I'm really interested to see how that goes. You kill Hinami too, that's gonna be fucked up. I mean, I'm not gonna be done with the manga or anything like that, but I can see Toka die more than I can see Hinami. But this chapter, great fucking chapter. I gotta give this one a 9. The only thing that I had a problem with was, like, why are you giving her this press conference? I mean, I guess she's under arrest, but she's not completely found guilty yet, but still, it's like, and your overall thoughts of these past 2 chapters. I apologize for the lateness, but never think I'm dropping Tokyo Ghoul. This is my shit, bro. Don't get it twisted. I love this manga. But thanks for watching. If you enjoyed anything about this video, make sure to drop me a like. I'd greatly appreciate it. And if you want more from me, make sure to subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and stalk my Facebook if you want more from me when the video ends. I'm ForneverWorld, and as always, people, have an awesome day.